During this week's video, we bring the Durango back and we cut off the IFS four-wheel drive because we are converting this Durango into two-wheel drive. Welcome back to the channel. Today is a new chapter for the Burnout Beater. We got a front axle, a front end where that we're going to be putting under the Burnout Beater. We're going to make this thing more roadworthy. I'd like to drive it to a car show once or twice. This front end is factory, so it still has the four-wheel drive. It still has, well, it's all factory in the front, but I'd like to delete that. I don't want to get rid of the four-wheel drive because we don't use the four-wheel drive, and it's got a bad wheel bearing and a bad caliper. So we picked up this front end and we're gonna stick that under the Burnout Beater. Let me show you what we got. Forklift operator picking up the new front end. Any guesses? We got it.
Three days later.
We got the Burnout Beater home. As you can see, we got a lot of snow. So we got to figure out how to get this Burnout Beater back in the garage and start converting it to two-wheel drive. But that's not today because I got two broken snow blowers and a lot of snow. So I'm gonna go work on that, and hopefully the next time you see me, we got this feller coming into the garage. But first, let's clean the snow off. Grab the old trusty shovel. By the way, if you guys don't have a shovel like this, the Dominator, you better get yourself one. We got her cleared off. Got two flat tires, a lot of snow in front. We're gonna deal with that another day. All right, we're gonna go work on those snow blowers. Okay, this is the day that we bring the Burnout Beater in the garage. Take a picture. The last time you will see the gasser look on the Durango. Kind of bittersweet about it, but I think the new front end that we put under this Durango is gonna be much cooler. We're gonna get bigger brakes. We're gonna ditch a lot of that four-wheel drive that we don't use in this application. I don't know why I love this Durango so much. It's nothing special, but it's like a big giant man cart, like a go-kart for adults. All right, let's pull this baby in after I pump up 4 tires. Looking for a four-wheel drive for a Durango. Still works. Had to use four-wheel drive to get out of here. All right, let's go to the garage. We got the Burnout Beater in the garage. The first thing we're gonna do is get this thing up on jack stands and pull the wheels. Well, there you have it. Got the Durango up on jack stands. Took a little longer than I wanted it to. It's not gonna be going anywhere for a few weeks. I think this project's gonna be probably a 3-part series. First part, removing the whole front axle, and then it's probably gonna take us a couple videos to mount that new axle underneath the Durango. But we took the hood off, pulled the battery. Now I'm gonna crawl underneath and pull the front drive shaft and probably start pulling the brakes and just keep tinkering at it. So let's crawl under the Durango. As you can tell, it's nice and warm in my garage now. I had to shed some layers, and I think the Durango is done dripping. So this is a good time to get underneath the Durango rod. Well, before we pull the drive shaft, I found out that you have to pull the skid plate. There's a little skid plate underneath the front differential and the cross member. Now I can get to that front drive shaft. And I got a little tip for you. As you can see, these bolts are pretty rusty, right? I mean, look at the Durango. But if you're trying to get these bolts out, and I was using the smaller 3/8 impact, and if you're newer to the game, when using the impact, these bolts are very rusty. So I was removing them, and then when you reverse the bolt out, you actually tighten the bolt again using the impact, and you can do that back and forth a couple times, and you can get these rusty bolts out. Because if you keep just trying to reverse this bolt out using the impact, the bolts like to snap off. So you kind of have to feel it right before they want to snap, or if you see the impact working too hard, just zip them back in and then zip them back out and in and out, and then the bolts come out without breaking. I think I'm gonna keep that skid plate around. That skid plate looks like we can modify it to put on one of our Jeeps. We got the front drive shaft out, and a little tip, another tip, I guess I'm on the tip train today. You can't get to these bolts too well when it's up against the transfer case, so you got to use an 8mm wrench. But the trick is, when you're using an 8mm wrench, use another box end. Then you can lock them together like this to give you more leverage, and then use the pry bar inside here, and then you can get to these bolts by using the leverage and locked together. We're gonna keep this front drive shaft around because you can use these on the rear of a Jeep. Unless you guys want this drive shaft more than I do, you can reach out to me and we can make a deal. But otherwise, I'll keep this around for a spare front drive shaft, or if I convert a slip yoke to the double cardigan for the rear of one of our other Jeeps. The next move on the Durango is removing the torsion bar keys, because we got to start taking the front end apart, and those torsion bars just have way too much tension. If you don't know, this is why this Durango sits high in the front, is because there's a 3-inch, well, it's like 2 to 3 inch key lift, torsion bar key lift on this Durango that we installed a couple years ago. I'm not going to show you that in this video because I'll put that video in the description below, and you can watch how we did the torsion bar keys on a Durango if you're curious, if you want to lift the front of your Durango, and it worked pretty well. Another little tidbit, I was at Harbor Freight a couple weeks ago, and this is actually on a previous video, but these sockets right here are becoming my go-to because the socket fits perfect in the tool that we need to remove those torsion bar keys, because this socket fits right on here. So I'll get those torsion bar keys removed on the Durango, and we'll keep on going with this process. By the way, if you need torsion bar keys for a Durango, thinking they're the same for a Dakota, hit me up because I don't need them anymore. Well, it's been a couple days since we last videoed. We're having a little Sunday fun day out here today. We got the water table going on, little guys having pizza at the bar, and I am having a good old time trying to get this front differential out of this Durango. There's got to be 7 bolts holding that front differential up, and dang, 2 of them I just spent 20 minutes trying to get out, and we already got the sway bar out, and we got the torsion bar keys out, so the torsion bars are just hanging underneath. So that's why I wanted to get the front differential out, and then we can try to get that dropped and then try to get the A-arms out. So I'll just keep at it. Well, it's been a couple days and we're working on the Burnout Beater again. We got the bolts out of the lower control arms and the torsion bars hanging down there. We got one bolt out. Ooh, still hot. Got one bolt out. Had to dig it out of this debris. Check this out. I'm digging this one out. I don't see a bolt head in this one. This is probably why we call this Durango the Burnout Beater, huh? She is a beater. Actually, the heater still works in this, so it would be a beater with a heater. But we don't drive it in the winter. Oh, we did the other day, so maybe it does count still. I don't know. I don't have a torch with me, so I'm not sure how I'm gonna get this guy out. I'm gonna probably whack it with a big chisel, and if I get lucky, it'll just snap off. But we gotta get this upper control arm off. So we gotta cut some more things off, and then hopefully this whole independent suspension just falls off, and then we can do some more cutting. So let's get the hammer out and the chisel.
When in doubt, shovel it out. I couldn't find my breaker bar, so I had to use the kid's shovel.
Okay, gotta do me a favor. Never give up. After an hour, we finally get that one bolt out. But we got one side out, and that's all that's gonna happen tonight. We spent most of our night trying to get that one bolt. So just don't give up. Keep throwing every tool you have in the garage at your difficult situation so you can prevail. And that's what happened for us. More and more difficult the further we get into it. But we know that kind of stuff. We aren't new to this game. And I hope you guys don't get discouraged out in the garage. Keep at it. Deleting the 4x4 IFS out in this Durango continues. We just got back from the hardware store to try to cut off those upper control arms on the passenger side. So here's the new arsenal. This one is gonna be super sketchy. I'm gonna put a 6-inch blade on my angle grinder. Yeah, definitely gonna be wearing a shield using this one. So let's go on that passenger side and try to cut off that upper control arm that took a long time on the driver's side. don't have to tell you guys how clapped out this Durango is, but I was just trying to move our cutout mess out from underneath the Durango. So I'm pulling on the upper A-arm, ball joint. We got the torsion bar lift keys off the torsion bars. If you guys want these torsion bar keys, I will give them to you. You would just pay for shipping, or if you're local to me, just come pick them up. We'll probably put them on Marketplace for cheap, but if I still have them, by the time you message me, just message me below. I have my emails in the description, or comment below, and you guys can have these for free. You just have to pay for shipping or pick them up. The next plan of attack is to get that power steering box out of the Durango. So we removed the battery box, and I'll probably relocate this in the future, probably somewhere back here. Actually, that looks like the front, but you know, behind the Durango where the fuel cell is. Then we removed this bracket that held the battery box in the inside of the fender here. But our main goal is to get this power steering box out of here. So we got to separate it from the column right there, separate it on the shaft, take the hoses off, and pull those 3 bolts. Then we'll just cut the bracket, and then the idle and the pitman will come off when we cut that bracket off. But first, we got to do something here with the hoses, because I want to try to reuse the pump, put them together for now, pinch those off, because those boxes have some value to us Jeep people. A lot of people like these power steering boxes to put it in their Jeeps. So let's fool around with this and see if we can get that box out of here, because we're going to be going to a power steering rack in the new setup. And I'm gonna end the video here. This video has been a couple weeks in the making, as you can tell, as when we started the video, it ended up being like 50 degrees and super nice here in Minnesota. 2 weeks later, it's like negative 50 with wind chill right now here in Minnesota. So I'm gonna cut for a little bit here on the Durango and probably go inside, because I have had the heater on in the garage for the last hour. Still cold. So I'm gonna do a little bit of cutting, start editing this video, get this video out to you guys in a couple days. On Wednesday at 6 is when our new videos drop. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you can comment below what you would do with your Durango that you're converting to 2-wheel drive. Don't know if too many people are doing that, but that's what we enjoy doing, is some oddball stuff and tinkering and making things work on a low budget with what we have to go out and compete and have fun with our junk. And I hope you guys get to go out and enjoy the vehicles that you modify and tinker on, because that's what it's all about, is to have fun out in the garage and go have fun with your friends and family with the vehicles we create and enjoy. So I'll do some cutting on this front cross member that held the IFS on this Durango with my big 6-inch cutoff wheel. We'll knock this guy out, and then the next video you guys will see on this Durango is us installing the new front end under the Durango. It's going to be transforming from a Durango looking gasser type rat rod to a lowered Durango rat rod, and eventually someday, if I find the right cab for this Durango, it will look completely different. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time.